Good morning, Washington. How y'all doing, everybody? It's Big Dave on the 11th of April, 2012. This is one of my favorite magazinicas. Tower porn. No, I like this. Popcom. I don't subscribe, but I do buy it on the newsstand over there at Barnes & Noble. It's just a really cool magazine if you're a radio freak. All about the ionosphere and how signals propagate and, monitoring shortwave bands and cool radio receivers, all this cool stuff. I like this thing a lot. Lots of radio history in here. This is the May issue, and there's a little series here on the Philadelphia radio, WIBG. I remember as a kid, I grew up in the Philadelphia area. My parents lived in the Jersey suburbs when I was just a wee lad, developing my love of radio. And WIBG, WIBG Radio 99, was one of my favorite stations. It was a top 40 station. They were competing with WFIL down there at 56. And, just had a great time listening to those stations as a kid. But anyhow, cool mag. Popcom. All right, folks, how you doing today? Just wanted to take a quick look at the radio ratings that came out yesterday. Basically, it's just a weekly number. It's not the monthlies or anything. But I thought some interesting trends going on there to talk about. One of the interesting things is, even though All News or WNEW doesn't have... Oh, this is driving me nuts here. I can't have somebody talking on the radio behind me. It drives me crazy. Even though WNEW is not showing much traction in the ratings. Okay, they're still 35th. Something weird's going on. Last year, WTOP, the Hubbard long-time All Newser, was always number one. Always, every week. Week in, week out, number one. Morning drive, number one. Afternoon drive, number one. Except around Christmas time, of course, when WASH comes up with its Christmas music and takes the cake a couple weeks. But, WTOP is, every other week, other than that Christmas period, it's number one. Without exception, I don't think. This year, things are different. Ever since WNEW launched, even though it's only 35th in the ratings, WTOP is no longer first. WTOP seems to be a solid second-place finisher. Isn't that interesting? But the weird thing is, who's number one? WAMU, basically a public radio news talker. So the last couple weeks, WAMU 88.5, public radio station, has been the number one station. And they've been number one in morning drive and number two in afternoon drive, with WTOP dropping pretty much to a solid second place. Now, that's great for them. I'm sure that's not hurting their ad revenue any, but still, they're not that reliable first place anymore. It's interesting that, so you have way out there, the WNEW, even though they're not really doing much ratings traction on their own, perhaps they're just siphoning off a little bit of that cream of WTOP's ratings to knock them down to second place. When WNEW launched back in January, I thought, okay, we're going to have a couple months, by April or May, we're going to see WNEW maybe around 18th, 19th, 20th place, and WTOP maybe dropping down to third or fourth. Well, a little bit of that has happened, but not a lot. TOP has dropped down to second, but WNEW is still down there in the mid-30s somewhere. I don't know. We shall see. What would I do if I was running WNEW? Well, apart from getting a better signal, which, obviously that's easier said than done, I really think that they should be doing a major campaign to introduce and personalize their air staff. People like Chaz Henry and some of the other, Jenny Glick and some of the other folks working over there. They need to perhaps do some interviews with them and post them on Facebook or post them on YouTube and do a behind-the-scenes kind of thing. Maybe do a daily feature, WNEW behind the scenes, or even put that on their own website. And they do need to upgrade the website. They really do. They need to have a WNEW exclusive website. The CBS Local Washington thing, I don't think, is really all that effective. It just, especially when you're trying to push the station ahead. So that's an interesting thing. They need to really start identifying these people, maybe run by some ads on, maybe, if you don't want to do it on local TV, do it on local cable TV where it ain't too expensive. Maybe they can do some trade outs or something like that. But they really need to start selling the personalities who are doing the news, And, Chaz Henry, I know, he's got a very colorful personality. He's a really great guy. Stuff like that, really pushing that. And, that's what I would do, at least in the short term. It's funny because these radio stations, you see this over and over again. The main reason the radio station is there is to sell ads for other people, but they don't advertise themselves. It was always a problem with 105.9 The Edge, the classic rocker that Cumulus Citadel had there on for the last couple of years. They just didn't advertise the damn thing. They were selling ads on it, but, they didn't promote the station. They had a great morning show with Mike O'Mara and Kirk McEwen and a great afternoon show with Surf, and they didn't promote it in any significant way. So it's like, hey, we want you guys to advertise on our station, but we don't believe in advertising for ourselves. It's like, okay. So anyhow, the radio ratings. Yes, it looks like TOP is a solid second place performer now. Maybe they'll drop to third. If WNEW starts getting a little bit of traction, maybe we'll see WTOP dropping down to third. So we shall see. The other good news in the ratings is the performance, at least the one bright spot for CBS's slumping cluster here in Washington. The one bright spot is Fresh 94.7 Fresh FM, that hot adult contemporary sound there, up to 7th place in the latest numbers. And, I think that's due in large part to finally getting a good morning show there with Tommy McFly in place. But you look at the rest of CBS's stations. I mean, they got, 5 FMers in the market? 5 of them. And where's the next CBS station? PGC at 13th. And then we've got JFK at 19th, WLZL at 20th, and of course WNEW at 35th. So, Steve Swenson still has a lot of work to do there since taking over the cluster last summer. WMAL still struggling along at 17th place. And also some weakness there from WRQX. So Cumulus's 2 stations, WRQX and WMAL, 15th and 17th place, they're in trouble. And I guess that's one of the reasons why we saw the management turnover over there last week. So we shall see. By the way, a little tit for tat yesterday with dear old Betsy Rothstein of Fishbowl, D.C., I live listened to her radio gig thing bit there on WMAL yesterday, and I guess she didn't like it, so then she runs this story about how my website's gonna crash and burn and all that. It's all a bunch of BS. It's just total bullshit. But it's funny how, she had that story just saved up for someday she could use it, and how she reacted to my commentary. If you want to catch Betsy Rothstein's rather miserable performance on WMAL, it's on the Dave TV page. Just click on the Dave TV page link on DCR TV. If you're watching this video on the Dave TV page, it's right down below me here. Check it out. It's kind of funny. All right, folks. That's it. That's the big news. I'm going to go back to reading Popcom. And hopefully one of these days we should get out some radio revenue numbers. They released the radio revenue numbers. I think a company called BIA down in Chantilly does that. So we'll be seeing if WTOP, I'm sure WTOP will still be the first place revenue station. Be interesting to see if PGC holds on to the second place because they've had a lot of ratings trouble over the past year. All right, folks, that's Dave TV for today, the 11th of April, 2012. Have a great one. So, there.